What's up guys, jtmoffroad here, and I have been called out. So, I have been called out by Nathaniel's garage to tell my Jeep story. If you're not aware of what's been happening the past few weeks, there's a Jeep YouTube channel, Chris Meacham, that started this Jeep story challenge. His requirements were tell your Jeep story, say what Jeep you would like to own, and then tag 3 more people that you want to have them tell their Jeep story. So the idea behind the whole Jeep story thing, if you haven't found out, because it's kind of been losing its meaning as it goes through and people start telling their Jeep stories. It's to bring the Jeep YouTube community together, not only for the viewers, but for the guys putting out the content too. So I think it's a great idea. I watch YouTube channels in my free time. That's all I watch. I don't really watch much TV anymore. And there's never been a strong presence in the Jeep community. There's always been cars, motovloggers, things like that, but not really so much Jeeps. So I'll probably get back to that. Thanks to Nathaniel for calling me out. I didn't hear about your channel until you commented on one of my videos. So, you know, it's really helping everybody out. Everyone's getting their channels out there. People are starting to hear more about other channels. I think it's a great idea. So props to Chris for this. My Jeep story kind of started out as an off-roading story. One of my best friends in high school had a old Dodge Dakota, and you know, one winter we were hanging out. We went out when it was snowing, went up to the power lines. He was driving me all around. At the time I was, you know, really into photography, so we were just going around. I was taking pictures of stuff, and we were going through these power lines. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, going into some, you know, mud holes that were iced over and this and that, and really amazed by the capability of what four-wheel drive vehicles could do, because at this point I've never had any experience with any four-wheel drive vehicle at all. So there was a point when we were going up this area on the power lines, and it was ridiculously steep, and it was nothing I'd ever experienced before. And I was amazed by what the vehicle was able to do. So this is, you know, this was in my head. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Whenever I get my next vehicle, I want to get a truck or something. So by the time that happened, I needed a vehicle. It was for transportation. I was going back and forth between you know, home and college at the time. And I decided that I was going to get an S10, Chevy S10. It was a 99 Chevy S10. And it was 4-wheel drive. And it didn't really, you know, I'd always thought of like lifting it and put bigger tires on it and do all this and that. But for those vehicles, if you do like the cheap lift, it puts in bad angles. You're going to wear out ball joints and this and that. And I was, you know, talking with my friends in college, and my one buddy, Ryan, he was like, no, you don't need to do anything to that. He's like, just keep that, don't do anything to it, go ahead and get a Jeep. And he's had a few Jeeps at the time. So that always just stuck in the back of my head that, you know, I should probably just keep what I have, you know, pay it off, don't mess with it. It's, you know, it's perfectly fine the way it is. So I just always had that in the back of my head that I wanted to get a Jeep, and the ideal Jeep that I wanted was 95 Wrangler, because it had leaf springs, and of the YJs, it seemed like that had the best things going for it. Had a galvanized body and frame, supposedly, and it had the bigger U-joints. So I figured those would probably be the best things to have. So over the years, looking at Craigslist, you know, having that idea in the back of my head, you know, I paid the truck off and I was like, all right, gonna save. And I think maybe a week later, I saw an ad for this YJ, and it's like, this is perfect. I want to go get this thing, or at least look at it. And at the time, I didn't know how to drive a stick. You know, it just driven automatics all my life. Didn't do anything with manuals at all. So go down, look at the Jeep, and I'm looking all over it. I was poking around on the frame and everything. Supposedly had a solid frame, and I'm poking around, and I get to the rear shackle area, and I put my finger right through the frame. So previous owner was apologetic about it, didn't realize it had that much rot going on. So he helped go ahead and knock the price down. Well, I don't think, if I remember back, he had a whole bunch of parts, like extra set of tires and wheels and everything. He threw in super cheap. So anyway, I got the whole thing. I didn't know how to drive a stick at this point. When I went out for the test drive, he drove it around and I sat in the passenger seat. So, everything to my knowledge seemed alright. I drove my truck down, loaded up all the parts, which I had a cap at the time, so everything fit in there. It was stacked to the top, and his wife drove the Jeep up. It was actually his wife's Jeep. Drove the Jeep up. He drove his car. We convoyed up to my place, which was an hour away. I paid for their toll, and we got up to my place. They dropped the Jeep off, and that's where I kind of learned how to drive a stick. So I just went, back and forth, and then once I felt confident enough, I had a buddy come down. He drove it over to a parking lot real quick, and I, practiced driving around the parking lot. Then from there, that's how I started driving. I'm trying to think when I first got that Jeep. I think I was around 23 or 24. I'm 28 now, so I've had the Jeep for about 4 or 5 years. So it was bone stock when I got it. I didn't want anything done to it. I wanted to start off solid, base. Didn't want anything done to it. I wanted to do everything myself. And having that done, I think I'm going to save money in the future. If I do get something, I'm going to get something done that has a lot of things done to it already, so I can save on all the aftermarket parts. But I got this under my belt. Not that I've done a whole lot to it, but I could call it my own. So, from there, I did a little off-roading here and there. There's not really a whole lot in the area that I'm at that you can do off-roading. Everything's like an hour and a half away. So I ended up joining Jeep Club, and that's where I learned a lot about four-wheeling and the right way to do things and the whole tread lightly idea. Around the time I got my Jeep, I can't remember if it was before or after, I was looking for a lot of Jeep videos on YouTube, and I came across Dirt Every Day. And I really liked that concept that it was, it was a full-length episode of off-roading. And, there's really not a whole lot of off-roading stuff to watch in terms of, if it's on TV or if it's YouTube channel or whatever. There's just not a whole lot of it. So at the time, that was the only thing I knew about. In terms of off-roading on channels, I didn't really see much. Whenever I would want to go to a off-road park, I'd type it in, see videos of it, see what the trails are like. But most of them were just a dash cam, and it would be the dash cam on there, and there wasn't really much change to the whole video. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I wouldn't have known what the trails are like if I hadn't seen that video. But I figured, I'd like to put a little flair onto it, change up the views and the angles, and chop them up and add some music and this and that, and try to make them a little more exciting, more entertaining to watch. So eventually, one Christmas, my wife and my parents bought me a GoPro. So when I got it, right after I went out wheeling at Southington, and that's my first video, I think that's the video that I put the most time into. Obviously, because I was learning how to do everything, and since it was my first one, I really wanted to try to make a big impression on anybody that was going to watch the video. I don't know how much of an impression it made on people. It's a 3-minute video. I did put a lot of work into changing camera angles all the time, trying to sync up the music with the video and this and that. I still really like the video today. But that's kind of what started the whole thing, and then I feel like ever since I started that, I've been producing better videos and better content, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, and I'm glad people are subscribing, liking the videos, and sharing them with other people, and I hope it keeps going. So that's my Jeep story. Jeeps I want. Number one Jeep that I want of all time is an M715. If you don't know what an M715 is, look it up. They're the coolest looking trucks ever. They've only made them for a couple years, and I think that's my, there's some other Jeeps that I want, but that's like M715, that's what I want. So hopefully in the future I'll buy one of those, and then I'll have build videos on it, and it'll be awesome. But I don't know if that's going to happen in the nearby future. So that's one and that's two. So let's get to three. So I'm calling out Jeep Vlogs and Dogs. He's the one that had the Dodge Dakota in my Jeep story that I just talked about. 2 is Chris Meacham, and 3 is Mr. G Disabled to Able. So thanks for listening to my Jeep story, guys. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like this video. Check out any of the other guys that are doing my Jeep story as well. And again, thanks to Nathaniel's Garage and thanks to Chris Meacham for starting the whole thing. So we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to like it, tell me what you think in the comments, click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming projects and wheeling trips. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook to catch posts of videos in the making. See you next time.